Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. My name is Alex, and I'm a financial analyst just starting out. I was 22 years old, spiritedly starting a job at an investment firm in Seattle and rushing into marriage. However, I could not have imagined that what awaited me would be a heartbreaking betrayal. Lily was my high school sweetheart and my first wife. She is gorgeous and is the goddess of many boys. Our relationship was passionate, and our honeymoon period after marriage was sweet. But the good times didn't last long. Soon after the wedding, I felt that Lily became more and more cold and seldom came home on the excuse of work socializing. Until that New Year's Eve that changed everything. Lily said again that she was going to a party with her friends, and I offered to go along, only to be put off by her excuses. Looking at the back of her well-dressed departure, I was flooded with an unprecedented uneasiness. Ghostly, I decided to follow her to see what was going on. The party was dimly lit, and the music was deafening. I hid in the corner, my eyes searching the crowd for Lily. Suddenly, I saw her, my wife, my love, making love to a tall, handsome stranger. My heart instantly plummeted to the ice. Lily was wearing a low-cut red dress I'd never seen before and smiled flirtatiously at the man with a smile that was so familiar and yet so strange. Her fingers drew ambiguous circles on the man's chest, while his hands roamed restlessly around her waist. I saw Lily go up to the man's ear and say something. The man gave a meaningful smile, and then they walked together to the dance floor. The tempo of the music became slow and Lily's body pressed against the man, swaying to the music. Their gazes intertwined as if there was only each other left in the world. My heart was beating so hard it was about to jump out of my chest, and my palms were sweating cold. I wanted to rush up and question, to shout, but it was as if my feet had taken root and I couldn't move. All I could do was watch it happen. After the music ended, Lily tilted her head and whispered something into the man's ear. The man nodded, then took Lily's hand and headed toward a small room at the end of the hallway. My mind went blank, but my body followed uncontrollably. I crept to the door of the little room, which was not quite closed, leaving a gap. I held my breath and peered in through the doorway. I saw Lily sitting on the man's lap with her arms around his neck. They kissed passionately, the man's hands roaming over Lily's body. Lily lets out a tiny moan, and the sound is like a sharp knife stabbing hard into my heart. I watched as the man slowly pulled down the zipper of Lily's dress, and Lily obediently cooperated. Her skin glowed seductively in the dim light. It was skin I had touched countless times, and now it was possessed by another man. My brain was a mess and my ears were buzzing. I don't know how I left. I just remember stumbling out of the party scene and into the cold night air. I sat in the car, shaking and my stomach turning. I shuddered as I pulled out my cell phone and flipped through the pictures I had just secretly taken. Each one was like a hammer blow to my heart. At that moment, I felt like my whole world was falling apart. Our first date, the look of surprise in her eyes when I asked her to marry me, the way we smiled at each other when we took our vows in church. All these once beautiful memories have now turned into sharp knives, lashing my heart over and over again. I drove around the city aimlessly, tears blurring my vision. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I too busy neglecting her? Or was I never good enough for her? When I got home, I stayed up all night. I tossed and turned, my mind replaying images of Lily and the man being intimate. I felt anger, betrayal, but more than that, a deep sense of powerlessness and self-doubt. The next morning, when Lily returned as if nothing had happened, I calmly pulled out the photos. I had expected her to cry and beg for forgiveness, but she just sighed softly and said, "Maybe it's better for both of us." It was at that moment that I truly realized that our marriage had long been in name only. I thought we were just having a few minor problems, not realizing that Lily's heart was long gone from me. For a while after my divorce, I was in a state of severe self-doubt. I started to look at everything about myself. Am I too boring? Is she too busy working and neglecting her? I'm even beginning to wonder about my attractiveness as a man. However, Over time, I gradually came out of the haze. I began to realize that true love should be about mutual understanding and support, not just outward attraction without inward fit like Lily and I had. This painful experience has taught me the true meaning of love and marriage. I know that I will still encounter setbacks and betrayals down the road, but I have become more mature and more aware of what I want. And so, with some bitterness, but more than anything else, anticipation for the future, I began a new chapter in my life. I told myself that someday I would meet the person who truly understands and loves me, and we would spend the rest of our lives together. It's not a good time to be divorced. I buried myself in my work and tried to forget the painful memories. Until that fateful night when I met Emily. It was my buddy Tom's farewell party. Tom was moving to New York for good and our group of friends got together to see him off. I was sitting alone at the bar, bored and shaking the glass in my hand, when suddenly a figure caught my attention. Emily just appeared in my line of sight. She wove her way through the crowd elegantly in a figure-hugging black gown. Her beauty is different from Lily's, bright and colorful, but carries a charm unique to mature women. I found myself unable to look away. Perhaps sensing my gaze, Emily walked toward me. "Alone?" she asked with a smile. At that moment, I felt my heart skip a beat. We had a great conversation. Emily is a modeling agent who talks with intelligence and humor. We talk about work, life, aspirations, and the conversation goes on and on. Without realizing it, the party was drawing to a close. "Want to get a cup of coffee?" I asked, gathering my courage. Emily smiled and nodded as we left the party together. The next few days were like a dream. Emily and I fell in love quickly, and just 3 months later, I asked her to marry me. When Emily tearfully said yes, I felt like the happiest person in the world. Our wedding was simple and cozy. Watching Emily walk toward me in her white wedding dress, I secretly vowed to cherish this woman and give her a happy life. The married life was beautiful and happy. Emily is a thoughtful wife who always takes care of my needs. We often attended social events together, and I was always proud of Emily's elegant and generous demeanor. I feel like I've finally found true love and can start a new life. However, underneath the calm surface there are dark currents. The nature of Emily's work dictates that she is often required to travel, sometimes late at night, before returning home. At first I didn't care, believing it was just a job requirement. But as time went on, an inexplicable uneasiness began to grow in me. There have been times when I've woken up in the middle of the night and realized Emily hasn't come home yet. I texted her, and she always replied that she was working late or socializing. I tried to believe her, but the doubts in my mind grew deeper. Until the night that changed everything. I came home from work early that day to surprise Emily. Walking up to the house, I heard a strange noise coming from inside. My heart suddenly clenched and a sense of foreboding surged through me. I gently opened the door and carefully stepped inside. There was no one in the living room, but I heard whispers and rustling from the bedroom. My palms began to sweat and my heart raced. I held my breath and slowly approached the bedroom door. The door didn't close completely, leaving a gap. I looked in through the doorway and the sight in front of me made me drop like a stone. Emily is lying in our bed with a handsome young man. Their clothes were strewn about, Emily's hands caressing the man's chest while the man's hands roamed Emily's body. Their lips entwined, making a sickening sound. I recognized the man as one of the up-and-coming models from Emily's agency, Jason. I had met him at Emily's work party and remembered the slightly excited tone in which Emily had introduced him. My mind went blank, but my body pushed the door open uncontrollably. "Emily, what's going on?" I heard my voice shaking. Emily and Jason separated in panic. Emily quickly grabbed the covers to cover her body while Jason scrambled to put on his pants. "Alex, why are you back?" Emily's voice was filled with panic and guilt. I felt a wave of vertigo, as if I were back to the night I found out Lily had cheated on me. The same betrayal, the same pain. Why does fate play tricks on me like this? "I wanted to surprise you," I said bitterly, "and it seems the surprise is mine." Jason took the opportunity to slip away, leaving me to confront Emily. Emily's tears came to her eyes. "Alex, I'm sorry. I really am. I don't know why this happened, I felt a strong surge of anger come over me. You don't know? Emily, you know exactly what you're doing. I was such a fool to think I'd found true love this time. Emily cried harder. Alex, please forgive me. We can start over. It was just a moment of confusion. I interrupted her, starting over. Emily, do you think that's even possible? You know what I've been through. You know what betrayal means to me. And yet you still did this to me. A million images flashed through my mind. Our first date, the look of surprise in her eyes when I asked her to marry me, smiling at each other when we took our vows in church. All of these once beautiful memories have now turned into sharp knives, sticking hard into my heart. I turned toward the closet and began to mechanically gather my things. Emily followed me, apologizing and pleading with me to stay. But my heart is cold. Alex, please don't go. I love you, really. It was just a mistake. Emily's voice choked as she pulled on my arm. I took a deep breath and said calmly, Emily, we're done. A lawyer will be in touch. With that said, I left the home that was once filled with sweet memories without looking back. Walking down the street, I felt a wave of exhaustion and emptiness I had never felt before. Why does this always happen to me? Am I too naive, or am I simply not cut out for marriage? I walked aimlessly and ended up at the beach. Looking at the rough sea, I suddenly had the urge to shout. But in the end, I just sat quietly on the beach and let the tears flow freely. In the days that followed, I fell into deep self-doubt. I started looking back at my 2 marriages and trying to figure out what went wrong. Was I too busy working and ignoring my wife's feelings? Or is there some flaw in my character that they can't stand? I think back to the images of Emily and Jason being intimate and my heart fills with pain and anger. I don't understand. Why would Emily do this to me? Haven't I given her enough love? I began to doubt my ability as a husband and even my attractiveness as a man. Every night, I dream about Emily and Jason together. Sometimes in my dreams, I'd rush up and punch Jason hard. Other times, I'd get down on my knees and beg Emily not to leave me. But no matter how the dream changes, the pain and despair of waking up is the same. I started drinking heavily, trying to numb my nerves with alcohol. I pushed away all my caring friends and locked myself in my house. I'm even beginning to wonder about love itself. Maybe true love only exists in fairy tales, and in reality marriage is nothing more than a transaction that is mercilessly discarded as soon as there is a better option. But as time passed, I gradually came out of the haze. I'm beginning to realize that the problem may not be me, but my choices. I've always been attracted to the outside, but neglected the importance of inner qualities. I think of my good friend Aubrey. She warned me once that Emily looked too perfect and might be a little unreal. At the time I scoffed and thought Aubrey was jealous. Now that I think about it, maybe she saw Emily for what she was. This experience made me realize that true love should be based on mutual understanding, trust, and respect. Outward attraction fades with time, while inner fit is what keeps a relationship going. I began to re-examine my values. Perhaps what I need is not a glamorous wife, but a partner who can truly understand and support me. I decided that from now on, I would be more careful with my relationships and would no longer be easily fooled by superficial glitz and glamour. And so, with some bitterness, but more than anything, anticipation for the future, I once again began a new chapter in my life. I told myself that this failure was not the end of the road, but a sure way to true love. I firmly believe that one day I will meet the one who truly understands and loves me. And this one, perhaps, is much closer than I thought. I just didn't realize at this point that fate was about to bring me an unexpected twist. 2 failed marriages made me almost lose faith in love. I began to wonder if maybe I was destined to die alone. But fate always likes to play jokes, and just when I was at my lowest point, I met Samantha. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon, and I was waiting at the Seattle airport for my flight to Chicago. The sudden storm caused flight delays, and the terminal was packed with anxious passengers. I sat bored in the corner, flipping through the unattractive magazine in my hand. Just then, a crisp voice broke into my thoughts. "Is there anyone here, please?" I looked up and a young blonde woman was standing in front of me, pointing to the empty seat next to me. She was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans with a friendly smile on her face. No, have a seat. I replied politely, while unconsciously looking at her more. She's not as bright and glamorous as Lily, or as polished as Emily, but there's a unique quality to her that makes you want to get close. Thanks. She sat down and held out her hand. I'm Samantha. You can call me Sam. Alex. I shook her hand and felt a tingle of electricity pass through my fingertips. We quickly chatted. Sam is a software engineer on his way to a technical conference in Chicago. We talked about our respective jobs, our favorite books and movies, and even our views on life. Sam has a special sense of humor and always has the ability to say something at the perfect time to make people laugh. The 4-hour delay flew by. When the radio finally announced that our flight was ready to board, I actually had a twinge of regret. We exchanged contact information and agreed to have dinner together if we were free in Chicago. Over the next few days, I found myself unable to stop thinking about Sam. Her smile, the twinkle in her eye when she spoke, and her unique sense of humor are etched in my mind. I worked up the courage to send her a message and received a quick reply. We arranged to meet at a small restaurant. That dinner was one of the most enjoyable dining experiences I've had in a long time. Sam looked both elegant and unassuming in a simple black dress. We talked a lot, from work to hobbies to our respective life experiences. I was careful to mention my 2 failed marriages, thinking it would scare her off, but Sam acted understanding. Everyone has their own story, Alex, she said gently. What matters is what we can learn from it and move on. I felt something melt inside me when I heard those words. The walls of the heart that had been built up over the years seemed to crack at that moment. Back in Seattle, we kept in touch. The video calls with Sam every night became the thing I looked forward to the most. We share each other's daily routines, talk about problems we encounter at work, and sometimes even watch the same movie together and discuss the plot. 3 months later, Sam told me she got an offer from a tech company in Seattle. I'm thinking about taking it, she said with some hesitation. What do you think? My heart skipped a beat. Sam might be moving to Seattle? The idea makes me both excited and nervous. I think it's a great opportunity. I try to keep my tone calm. Seattle is a great city. You'll love it here. Sam smiled. Then it looks like I have a reason to move there. After Sam moved to Seattle, our relationship heated up quickly. We explored every corner of the city together, tried a variety of cuisines together, and jogged along the beach together on early weekend mornings. Sam is an exercise enthusiast, and she encouraged me to start working out as well. Soon, fitness became a common hobby for us. One night, we had just gotten back to my apartment from a run. Sam's cheeks were flushed from exercise, and a few strands of blonde hair clung to her sweaty forehead. It was at that moment that I suddenly realized I was in love with her. Sam, I take a deep breath. I think I'm in love with you. Sam froze for a moment, then broke into the biggest smile I'd ever seen. I love you too, Alex, she said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss me. That kiss was like a bolt of lightning that shattered the last vestiges of hesitation in my mind. I held Sam close, feeling her body heat, her heartbeat. At that moment, I felt like I had finally found my home. Our romance is moving fast. 6 months later, on a sunny weekend, I took Sam to my favorite beach. As the rays of the setting sun spilled over the ocean, I got down on one knee and asked Sam to marry me. Samantha, will you marry me? I asked nervously, holding a simple but delicate diamond ring in my hand. Sam's eyes immediately moistened. Yes, yes, I do, she said excitedly, and then jumped into my arms. We had a simple wedding, inviting only our closest friends and family. The moment I watched Sam walk towards me in his white wedding dress, I felt incredibly happy. I swore in my heart that this time, I would cherish it and not let the tragedy repeat itself. Married life is sweet and full. Sam is a thoughtful wife and always takes care of my needs. We kept up our exercise routine and often went to the gym together. Looking at my increasingly healthy self in the mirror, I felt more confident than ever. Sam is also very ambitious at work. She often works late, but I understand her efforts. We support each other, encourage each other, and seem so in love. However, a crisis lurks beneath the calm surface. The twist of events came around our first wedding anniversary. The other day, Sam excitedly told me that her friend Hugh wanted to sell his gym. Alex, this is the perfect opportunity. Sam's eyes sparkled. I've always wanted to run my own gym, and this could be our chance. I'm a little hesitant. Running a gym takes a lot of money and time and is notoriously risky. But seeing how excited Sam was, I couldn't bear to throw cold water on her. It sounds like a good idea, I said, but we need to think carefully about the finances. Sam nodded. I know. I've done some preliminary calculations. If we can raise $2 million, it'll be enough to buy the gym and all the equipment. I sucked in a cold breath. $2 million is not a small amount. Sam, that's a lot of money. I know, Sam said eagerly, but I believe this is a great investment opportunity. We could use our savings and take out some more loans. Haven't you always wanted to invest in real estate? This could be our first investment. Looking into Sam's expectant eyes, I finally nodded my head in agreement. We formed a company to buy the gym, and I personally gave Sam a loan to support her dream. After the gym opened, Sam became extremely busy. Not only does she manage the day-to-day operations of the gym, but she also juggles her old job as a software engineer. We were spending less and less time together, but I told myself that it was only temporary and that it would get better when the gym got on track. However, things didn't get better. Sam traveled more and more frequently, sometimes coming home late at night. Every time I expressed concern, she would say it was a job requirement and told me not to think too much about it. I tried to convince myself to trust Sam, but the doubts in my mind grew deeper. I began to notice details. That Sam often didn't let her cell phone out of her sight, that she often answered her phone in the bathroom, and that sometimes she would even cancel our appointments out of the blue. Until the night that changed everything. That day, Sam said he was going to Atlanta for 3 days on business. I wanted to take her to the airport, but she politely declined, saying that the company would arrange a car to pick her up. I felt a little lost, but respected her decision. The next night, I was at home doing nothing when I suddenly remembered the fitness tracking app we shared. I opened the app to see how Sam had been exercising over the past few days, but I didn't expect to find facts that would break my heart. Sam's Fitbit showed that she was exercising vigorously and her heart rate was rising rapidly. I looked at the time, and it was 1 a.m. Atlanta time. My mind went blank and my fingers trembled uncontrollably. I called Sam immediately, but she didn't answer. I dialed over and over again until, for the 5th time, Sam finally got through. Hey Alex, what's up? Is something wrong? Sam's voice sounded a little breathy. I tried to keep my emotions in check. Sam, are you okay? Where are you? I'm at the hotel. What's wrong? Then why are you exercising? It's 1 in the morning. My voice started to shake. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Oh, I had insomnia, so I wanted to get some exercise. Don't lie to me, Sam. And I couldn't contain myself any longer. You're not even in Atlanta, are you? Who are you with? Sam's voice was visibly panicked. Alex, what are you talking about? I'm really in Atlanta. Stop lying. I roared. I saw your Fitbit data. Tell me who the hell you've been with. There was silence on the other end of the line again, and then I heard Sam say softly, Alex, I'm so sorry. I hung up the phone and felt the whole world spinning. My mind was in turmoil, a million questions swirling around in my head. Why did Sam lie to me? How long has she been cheating on me? Have I been fooled by love once again? I sat on the couch, feeling like all my strength had been drained from me. I think back to our time together, and all those sweet memories are now ironic. I think about our wedding, the vows I made in my heart, the expectations I had for this marriage. Everything turned out to be a bust. All night long, I struggled with pain and anger. I don't know what to do with Sam. I don't know what to do with the marriage. I felt deeply betrayed and disappointed. But more than that, I was disappointed in myself. Why do I always pick the wrong people? Why am I always betrayed? Did I do something wrong? I called in sick early the next morning and then began to deal with some practical issues. I froze our joint account and canceled Sam's credit card authorization. I contacted an attorney and started preparing divorce papers. When I do these things, I feel like a robot, mechanically executing the program, but inside I am barren. The day Sam came back, I was sitting in the living room waiting for her. The moment she pushed open the door and saw me, her face instantly turned pale. Alex. She whispered my name. her voice filled with fear and guilt. I looked at her calmly, feeling my heart go numb. "Sit down, Sam. We need to talk." Sam slowly walked over and sat on the couch across from me. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she had obviously been crying. "Why?" I asked, pain and confusion in my voice. Sam lowered her head, her long hair covering her face. I could see her shoulders shaking slightly. "Alex, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to explain." "Try it," I said coldly. "Maybe start by explaining why you lied to me." Sam took a deep breath and looked up, her eyes filled with tears. I made a terrible mistake. I was overwhelmed by the stress of work and the gym, and I felt alone and restless. "So you just decided to betray me?" I interrupted her, feeling an intense wave of anger surge through me. "Sam, you know what I've been through. You know what betrayal means to me." I know," Sam cried. "I don't have an excuse, Alex. I don't know. Maybe I'm too selfish. Maybe I'm too weak. But I do love you, Alex. It was just a terrible mistake." I laughed bitterly and shook my head. "Love me? If you really loved me, you wouldn't hurt me like this. Sam, you know what? I thought you were different. I thought our marriage was different. But now it looks like I've been lied to once again." Sam stood up and tried to get closer to me, but I took a step back. "Alex, please. We can save this marriage. We can work together." "Salvage?" I sneered. "Sam, do you think there's anything left to salvage? You destroyed my trust in you. Destroyed our marriage. You know what? I even wonder now if everything between us was a lie." My words felt like a hammer blow, and Sam stumbled, falling back onto the couch. Desperation was written all over her face. "No, Alex, that's not true. The love between us is real. I just made a mistake." I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself. "Sam, I don't know if I should trust you, but it doesn't matter anymore. I've contacted a lawyer and prepared the divorce papers." Sam jerked his head up, fear in his eyes. "Divorce? No. Alex, please don't. Give me a chance and I'll prove it to you." I shook my head, interrupting her. "Sam, it's too late. I can't trust you anymore. Besides, you seem to have forgotten something." "What?" Sam asked in a small voice. "Our prenup," I said calmly. "Do you remember? If one of you cheats, you will lose all rights to property division." Sam's face instantly turned pale. "Alex, you wouldn't." "I will," I said firmly. "Not only that, but I'll take back the money I loaned you. You have 60 days to pay it back, or I will take back the gym." Sam broke down. She fell to her knees and wrapped her arms around my legs. "Alex, please, don't do this to me. I love you. I really do. Give me a chance, I'll change." I felt a pang of heartache, but I knew I had to stay strong. I gently pushed Sam away and walked towards the bedroom. "I'll be staying at the hotel tonight. Tomorrow I'll come and pack my stuff." "Sam, it's over." I dragged my heavy feet out of the house, feeling like my heart was being ripped to shreds. I sat in the car, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. Why? Why does this always happen to me? What did I do wrong? In the days that followed, I once again fell into a deep state of self-doubt and anguish. I look back at my 3 marriages and try to figure out what went wrong. Was I too busy working and ignoring my wife's feelings? Or is there some flaw in my character that they can't stand? Or am I simply not cut out for marriage? I'm starting to question my judgment. I used to believe so much in Sam, in our love. But now it all seems so ridiculous. I started thinking that maybe I don't even know what real love is. Every night, I dream about Sam. Sometimes it's our happy times. Sometimes it's scenes of her betraying me. Whichever dream it is, the pain of waking up is the same. However, just as I was about to sink, an unexpected person saved me. It was the 3rd week after the divorce proceedings began. I was sitting at the bar, ready to numb myself with alcohol again, when I suddenly heard a familiar voice. "Alex." I looked up and saw Aubrey, my high school best friend. There was concern in her eyes. "Oh my God, Alex, are you okay?" Aubrey sits down next to me and gently takes my hand. I laughed bitterly. "What do you think?" Aubrey sighed. "I heard about you and Sam." "I'm so sorry, Alex." I shook my head. don't need your sympathy, Aubrey. I brought this on myself. Don't say that, Alex, Aubrey said seriously. It's not your fault. You just believe in love too much. I laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Believe in love? Aubrey, you know what? I don't even know what love is right now. Aubrey is silent for a moment, then whispers, love is when you're willing to give everything for the other person without expecting anything in return. Love is when you feel happy when you see the other person happy. Love is even after experiencing pain, you're still willing to open your heart again. I looked up at Aubrey and suddenly felt a wave of vertigo. For some reason, I'm reminded of us in high school. Aubrey, back then, was always so gentle and understanding. We had the purest of friendships, even, maybe there's more? Aubrey. I whispered her name, feeling something slowly awaken inside me. Aubrey looked at me with a smile. Alex, I know you're in a lot of pain right now, but trust me, this is not the end. You'll find the one that's truly yours. I look into Aubrey's eyes and suddenly realize that maybe the person I've been looking for is right in front of me. But I know that now is not the time. I need time to heal my wounds and regain my faith in love. Thank you, Aubrey, I said sincerely, for always being there for me. Aubrey patted my hand gently. That's what friends are for, isn't it? From that day on, I started trying to rebuild my life. I quit drinking and went back to work. I began to reflect on my past relationship experiences and tried to learn from them. I realized that I used to be attracted to appearances but neglected the importance of inner qualities. I began to understand that true love should be based on mutual understanding, trust, and respect. Outward attraction fades with time, while inner fit is what keeps a relationship going. I've also begun to re-examine my relationship with Aubrey. I think back to all the memories of my high school years, those moments when we laughed and cried together. I'm starting to realize that maybe Aubrey is the one who really understands me and supports me. But I know that I still need time. I need to heal myself and become a better person before I can deserve Aubrey's love. Just as I was struggling with whether or not I should confess to Aubrey, fate played a joke on me once again. It was a sunny Saturday, and I was at home organizing papers when I suddenly received a text from Aubrey. Alex, can you come by the usual place? I have something important to tell you. My heart suddenly raced. The old place, the little cafe we used to go to together in high school. Aubrey said something important. What could it be? A million possibilities flashed through my mind, but I tried to control myself from rambling. I hurriedly changed and drove to the cafe. Along the way, I had mixed emotions. I'm looking forward to it and scared, excited and nervous at the same time. I don't know what awaits me, but I do know that no matter what happens, I have to be brave. As I walked into the cafe, I caught a glimpse of Aubrey sitting in the corner. She looked beautiful and gentle in a light blue dress with long blonde hair draped over her shoulders. But as I approached, I noticed that her expression was a little tense, as if she was troubled by something. Hi, Aubrey, I greeted softly, taking a seat across from her. Aubrey looks up at me with a slightly forced smile. Alex, you're here? I nodded. You said you had something important to tell me? Aubrey took a deep breath, then spoke slowly. Alex, I'm getting married. I felt my heart instantly fall into an ice pit. Aubrey's getting married? My mind went blank and my ears buzzed. I tried to control my expression and attempted a blessed smile, but I felt the corners of my mouth trembling. Wow, that's great news. I heard my voice shaking. Congratulations, Aubrey. What's he like? Aubrey lowers her head and whispers, his name is Eric. I met him at work. He's kind and thoughtful, and we're very happy together. I felt like my heart was being torn to pieces. I wanted to wish Aubrey well. I wanted to be happy for her, but instead I felt an intense pang of pain and loss. I suddenly realized that I might have lost my favorite person forever, and it was all because of my hesitation and slowness. Alex? The sound of Aubrey's voice brought me back to reality. Are you okay? I tried to squeeze out a smile. I'm fine, really. I'm happy for you. Aubrey, you deserve the best. Aubrey looks at me with complicated eyes. She seemed to want to say something, but in the end just sighed softly. Thank you, Alex. Your blessing means a lot to me. We chatted a bit more, but my mind was long gone from the conversation. I responded mechanically to Aubrey's words, while my mind continued to visualize her with the man named Eric. Each image was like a sharp knife, stabbing hard into my heart. After leaving the cafe, I wandered aimlessly through the streets. I felt more lost and regretful than ever. Why didn't I realize how much Aubrey meant to me sooner? Why do I have to wait until I lose her to realize my feelings? I went to the beach and sat on the sand looking at the sea level in the distance. The rough sea seemed to be mapping my inner waves. I think back to the times Aubrey and I shared, the laughs, the tears, the moments of support for each other. I suddenly realized that Aubrey had always been the most important person in my life. I just hadn't been able to see that. Just then, my cell phone rang. It's my assistant Vicky calling. "Alex, are you okay?" Vicky's voice was full of concern. "I just ran into Aubrey and she seemed a little distracted. Did something happen?" I hesitated to tell Vicky that Aubrey was getting married. There was silence on the other end of the line for a moment, then Vicky said in surprise, "What? Aubrey's getting married? No way." I was a little confused. "What do you mean?" Vicky seemed to realize she'd blurted it out and hastily changed her tone. "Nothing. I'm just a little surprised." "Alex, are you really okay with this?" I laughed bitterly. What could possibly be wrong with that? Aubrey found the right person for her, and I should be happy for her. Vicky sighed. "Alex, did you ever think that maybe Aubrey was testing you?" I froze. "Testing me?" "Yes," Vicky explained patiently. "Aubrey has been there for you for all the years you've known each other. Maybe she just wanted to know how you would react when she said she was getting married." My heart suddenly raced. Vicky's words gave me a glimmer of hope, but I didn't dare to believe them so easily. But what if it isn't? What if she really is getting married? Vicky's voice firms up. "Alex, listen to me. Whether Aubrey really wants to get married or not, you should tell her how you really feel. You've missed too many opportunities already to miss this one." I took a deep breath and felt my courage slowly building. "You're right, Vicky. I can't run away anymore. I'm going to go to Aubrey and tell her how I feel." After hanging up, I immediately drove to Aubrey's apartment. Along the way, my heart was beating so fast that my palms kept sweating. I don't know what awaits me, but I do know that this may be my last chance. When I got to the bottom of Aubrey's apartment, I saw that she was standing with a strange man. The man was tall and handsome and was wrapping his arm intimately around Aubrey's shoulders. My heart sank to the bottom. Could this be Eric? Is Aubrey really going to marry him? I hesitated for a moment, but eventually worked up the courage to walk over. "Aubrey?" I called softly. Aubrey turned around and visibly froze when she saw me. "Alex? What are you doing here?" I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice steady. "Aubrey, I have something to say to you. Very important words." Aubrey looked at the man next to her and then said to me, "Alex, this is my cousin Paul. Paul, this is Alex, my friend." I froze. Cousin? Not a fiancé? I felt my heart beating again. Paul gave me a friendly nod and then said to Aubrey, "I'll go up first. You guys talk?" With that, he entered the apartment building. Now, it's just me and Aubrey standing in the night. Aubrey looks at me with a question in her eyes. "Alex, what are you trying to say?" I took a deep breath and summoned up all my courage. "Aubrey, I love you." I blurred out, "I've always loved you. I was just too stupid to realize it until now. I know I've been through 3 failed marriages, and I know I probably don't deserve your love. But Aubrey, you are the most important person in my life. My life wouldn't be complete without you." Aubrey's eyes widened, and her lips quivered softly. "Alex, what did you say?" I continued, my voice shaking a little with emotion. "I know you said you were getting married, and if that's true, if you're really in love with someone else, I'll give you my blessing. But Aubrey, if there's even the slightest chance, if you still have a little bit of feeling for me, please give me a chance. Let me prove to you that I can be that person who is worthy of your life." Aubrey's eyes filled with tears. She looked at me with an expression on her face I couldn't read. The silence lasted a few seconds, but it seemed like an eternity to me. Finally, Aubrey spoke up. "Alex, you fool." Her voice was tinged with sobs. "I've been waiting for that for how many years, do you know?" I froze. "What do you mean?" Aubrey wiped the tears from her eyes and gave a big smile like I've never seen before. I'm not getting married, Alex. T was just a test. I wanted to know how you'd react if I said I was going to be with someone else. I felt my heart skip a beat. So, you mean? Aubrey nodded. Yes, Alex. I love you too. Always loved. I felt my world brighten instantly. All the worries, all the pain. In this moment, it all went away. I can't help but step forward and hold Aubrey tightly in my arms. I'm sorry, Aubrey, I whispered in her ear. I'm sorry I wasted so much time, but from now on, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I promise I'll be the one you can trust and rely on. Aubrey nods softly in my arms. I believe in you, Alex. We've been through so much, now, let's make our future together. And so, after 3 failed marriages and countless heartbreaks, I finally found the one who is truly mine. Luckily, she's always been there for me. I felt like the happiest person in the world when Aubrey came up to me on my wedding day in her white wedding dress. I knew that this time, I had finally found true happiness. Married life was uneventful and happy. We have arguments and disagreements, but we always understand and support each other. Aubrey became my wife, my lover, my best friend. We run the relationship together and face every challenge in life together. Now, looking back, I no longer regret the choices I made, because it was those experiences that made me grow up, that made me appreciate, that made me finally find true love. I realized that true love is not about sensational passion or glamorous appearance, but about companionship day in and day out, about mutual understanding and support, about common growth and progress. Every day with Aubrey, I'm learning how to be a better husband and a better partner. Our relationship is no longer the superficial attraction or fleeting passion I've experienced in the past, but one built on deep friendship and understanding. I remember one time I got mad at Aubrey because I was stressed at work, but instead of getting mad, she quietly listened to me finish venting and then gave me a hug. Alex, she whispered, we're family, remember? Your stress is my stress. Let's face it together. It was a simple statement like that that made me realize I wasn't alone in my battle anymore. I have a true companion, someone who is willing to share my pain and suffering. Aubrey has her faults and weaknesses. She sometimes worries excessively and gets anxious over little things. But these are no longer issues because we have learned how to tolerate each other and how to support each other in times of need. Our love isn't perfect, but it's those imperfections that make our relationship more real and stronger. Our lives don't always go smoothly. We also have arguments and disagreements, but we were always able to communicate openly and find a way to solve the problem. We learned not to hurt each other in our arguments and learned to apologize to each other when we calmed down. These little trials and tribulations have made our bond grow stronger. After 2 years of marriage, Aubrey became pregnant. When she broke the news to me, I felt a sense of happiness and responsibility that I had never felt before. I know that from now on, we will no longer be just husband and wife, but also parents. Aubrey experienced a lot of discomfort during her pregnancy. I took care of her as best I could, going with her to labor and delivery, getting up in the middle of the night to satisfy all her strange food cravings, watching her belly grow bigger every day and feeling the baby's fetal movements. I felt like my life finally had real meaning. I cried the moment our daughter Emma was born. Looking at that tiny, wrinkled being, I felt a love like no other. I look at an exhausted but happy Aubrey and my heart fills with gratitude. Thank you, I whispered to her, for such a wonderful gift. Emma's arrival has made our lives fuller and busier. We learned how to be parents and how to find a balance between work and family. Sometimes we get tired and complain a little, but every time we see Emma's smile, all that tiredness goes away. As time goes by, I realize more and more that true happiness is found in the little things of everyday life. It's the kiss Aubrey gives me in the morning, the moment Emma says, "Daddy," for the first time, the afternoons we have family picnics in the park, the nights we snuggle up on the couch and watch movies. I also began to reflect on my past relationship experiences. I realized that my past marriages failed not only because I chose the wrong person, but because I had the wrong expectations of love. I thought love was supposed to be passionate and perfect, But now I realize that true love is the sincerity in the blandness, the tolerance in the flaws, and the perseverance in the difficulties. One night, after we had put Emma to bed, Aubrey and I sat on the veranda drinking tea and talking. We talked about the past and how we went round and ended up together. You know, Aubrey said, I actually liked you in high school. I looked at her in surprise. Really? Why didn't you ever tell me? Aubrey smiles and shakes her head. Because the you that you were then wasn't the you that was right for me. You needed to go through all that, to grow, to mature, to become the person you are now. I held her hand and felt a surge of emotion. Thank you for waiting for me, I said sincerely, and for never giving up on me. Aubrey leaned gently on my shoulder. We both needed time to grow up, Alex. The important thing is that we found each other in the end. It was at that moment that I suddenly realized that my life was like a circle. I started at the beginning, went through all the ups and downs, and ended up back at the beginning. But this starting point is no longer the same as it was in the beginning. It became my end, my home. I think of my 3 failed marriages. Lily taught me not to be fooled by superficial passions. Emily taught me the importance of honesty and trust. And Sam taught me the value of cherishing the people in front of me. Every relationship, be it good or painful, has paved the way for the happiness I have today. Now I finally understand what true love is. It is not a sensational oath of alliance, not a bright and shiny appearance, but the mutual help in the ordinary life. Is difficult to support each other at the moment, is the trust and understanding between each other. I look at Aubrey beside me with gratitude and appreciation. I knew that I had finally found the one for me. She's not perfect, but her imperfections complement mine exactly. We are not together to change each other, but to accept each other and fulfill each other. I love you, Aubrey, I whispered, and thank you for giving me a home. Aubrey smiled at me with happy tears in her eyes. I love you too, Alex. Thank you for choosing me in the end. We smiled at each other and then looked out the window at the stars together. I know that whatever else awaits us in the future, we will face it together. Because we have each other, this warm home, and our love. This is my story, a story of love, growth, and redemption. I hope that those who are looking for true love will take something away from this. Love may come late and may take some detours, but as long as you keep an open and sincere heart, it will eventually find you. And when you find that right person, cherish her and run your relationship with all your heart. Because true love is worth everything you have to keep it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.